Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapatagalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vidam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namosude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarupecha kripa sindhu bevacha patidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nama om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhudale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhika Tadalaye, Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Hari Om Tat Sat. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. So it has only 20 slokas, but very, very beautiful slokas. Very important slokas also. Okay. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdha Mula Madha Shakham Ashwattam Prahuravyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Veda Ved. Tarini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhva Moolam Atha Shakam Ashwattam Prahuravyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda.
Very bold. Translation Mayur Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
In Hindi Prabhuji.
जी जी.
श्री भगवान ने कहा जाता है कि एक शाश्वत अश्वत्थ वृक्ष है जिसकी जड़ें तो ऊपर की ओर हैं और शाखाएं नीचे की ओर तथा पत्तियां वैदिक स्तोत्र हैं। जो इस वृक्ष को जानता है वह वेदों का ज्ञाता है।
Very bold. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. And who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna about the tree which is imperishable. Okay, and what is the speciality of this tree? The roots are upward, the branches are downward. Usually we know that roots are down and the branches grow upwards. But here Krishna is explaining about a tree that has a different form. The root goes upward and the branches are downward. And have we seen such a tree? Yes, definitely we have seen. Where when we go to a river bank, okay, a shore of an ocean, or if there are some trees like that. So usually on the river bank side, we'll see some trees, overlooking the river. That tree will see similarly, isn't it? That roots are upward and the branches are downward. If you observe that. So such trees we have found. So what do we understand from this? So this material world is exactly like that. Just like a banyan tree that is reflected on the water, which has its roots up and the branches down. So one who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So what Krishna wants Arjuna to understand, that this material world is a reflection of that spiritual world. Just like how a tree is reflected on water, just in the opposite way, the perverted reflection, perverted way. Similarly, this material universe is also a perverted reflection of that spiritual world. So this is what Lord Krishna wants to, inform Arjuna. And let's see what Prabhupada gives in the purport. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of the Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. So, from 6 to 12 chapter, 6 to 11 chapter, in fact, Krishna has given details about the Bhakti Yoga. 7 to 12, sorry, not 6, 7 to 12 chapter, the middle 6 chapters. Krishna has given, descriptions about the Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Now, Arjuna's question here is, what about the Vedas? So he wants to know about the Vedas. So he says that it is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. So what is the purpose of Vedic study? To understand Krishna, which Krishna says in this same chapter, 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matas spriti jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta kridveda videvacha. To know all the Vedas means to know me. That's the purpose of Veda. Otherwise, Veda is of no importance. You know all the Vedas, but you don't know who Krishna is, then that Vedic knowledge is of no use. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. Say, Bhakta already knows the Vedas because he knows who Krishna is. When Prabhupada was in India, Saraswati, the daughter of Mother Malati Mataji, Mother Malati, she was just roaming here and there, and she was telling, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? She used to ask, yes, it's Krishna. Okay. Now, some people say, especially there are, they are impersonalists, Mayavadis, they don't know the subject matter for debate. Then Saraswati used to give, no, Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. So Prabhupada says, even this small girl of 5 years old, she knows who is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those Karma Gandhis, Jnana Gandhis, or Karma Yogis, Dhyana Yogis, and Jnana Yogis, they are still trying to figure out who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But this little girl of 5 years, she knows who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She says that is Krishna. So the Bhakti Marga is very, very easy. It's very crystal clear. Krishna says, I am to be known by knowing all the Vedas. He is the compiler of the Vedas. He is the knower of the Vedas. So what is there any doubt that to know who is Krishna or who is Supreme Personality of Godhead? So the Jnanis and the yogis, they are trying to figure out who that person is. But Bhagavad Gita openly declares, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataha sarvam pravartade idi matva bhajande amam buddhabhava samanvida. Everything is emanating from me, isn't it? So now, why you are confused that who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So this is the speciality of Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti, even though you may not have studied all the Vedas, but you know the conclusion of Vedas. So that is the speciality of Bhakti Yoga. So the entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. So the example given here, when we get entangled in this material world, in the comparison given to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end, because we don't know where the roots goes. It goes miles and miles. Where it begins, where it's ends, we don't know. So like that, in the material world, we are getting entangled in karmic activities. Where we have started and how we are getting the reaction, in which lifetime, how many more lifetimes we should take to get that. And as we keep, reaping the results of our actions, we still continue to do more actions for which the reactions are yet to come. So there is no clue that where all these, karmic reactions have started and where it is going to end and how long it will take. We don't know. So we are getting entangled again and again in this karmic cycle, just like, how a banyan tree's roots are entangled, and going miles and miles apart. So we don't know where it begins and where it ends. So that's why it is compared, the fruitive activities, is compared to a banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. People who are into the material activities, they wander from one branch to another, to another. That means we wander from one form to another, to another, to another, without any end, unlimitedly, in different forms. So the tree of this material world has no end. And for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. So those who have, those who are attached to this tree, the liberation is out of question. Mukti is out of question. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of the tree. So the Vedic hymns are compared to the leaves of the tree. These trees' roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located. So it begins from the abode of Lord Brahma. That's why it is going upward. The topmost planet of this universe, Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, is the topmost planet of the universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. So the person who knows about this tree, only he can get out of it. So, the person who knows that this tree, by getting attachment to this tree, fruitive activities, and by taking different forms of lives, different species, we are getting entangled. So one should know this tree very well to come out of this tree of illusion. That's what Lord Krishna says. So this process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. So how to come out of this tree of material attachment? There are many different types of yoga is recommended, of which the topmost yoga is Bhakti Yoga. So, and up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. There is Karma Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga, there is Dhyana Yoga, there is Bhakti Yoga. So all the other yogas are stepping stone to reach the Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is a culmination of all other yogas. So by following Karma Yoga, there are two types of Karma Yoga. Can anyone say which are the two types? There are the two types of Karma Yoga.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Madhaji.
It's a akarma and vikarma? No.
No. Sakama Karma Yoga, Nishkama
Sakama
Karma.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sakama and Nishkarma.
Nishkama,
So,
yeah.
There are Karma Kandis. Karma Kandis, only doing some regulated activities for total material enjoyment. There is no spirituality in that. Okay. So after the Karma Kandis, a step higher is the Karma Yoga. So yoga means to link with the Supreme Person. So there only some spirituality comes in the Karma Yoga. Karma Kandis, they are doing regulated sense gratification. And below Karma Kandis, what do we say? Who are people below Karma Kandis?
Karmis, Prabhuji.
Karmis. No, below Karma Kandis, not the Karmis means Karma Kandis. So who are people below Karma Kandis? Those who are leading animalistic way of life, animal, just like animals. They are uncivilized, uncultured people. Okay, Karma Kandis or Karmis, they are following some rules and regulations of the scriptures, but there is no spirituality. So uncivilized, uncultured people, and from there, they are living like animals. Although in the human form, they are living like animals. Then comes the Karmis, Karma Kandis. they are having some regulations, but they are not spiritual. They don't have any, spiritual activities. But then karma yogis, next, higher than that is karma yogis. In that, there are two divisions. One is sakama karma, the other one is nishkama karma. Sakama karma, when we do, we want to enjoy the material fruits. So they are doing the karma for that. They are doing some spiritual activities so that they can get some result. They are doing some yajnas or homas so that they can get elevated to the higher planetary system and enjoy more fruits or better life than what is there in the earthly planet. So that is sakama karma. Okay. And nishkama karma, they don't want the fruits. Okay. They want to offer the fruits for some, charity or whatever it is. Some building, some hospitals, or temples or schools or this or that. Some, they offer that. They are not after the fruits, but they are attached to the work. Nishkama karma yogis, they are attached to the work. They are not attached to the fruits. For example, we can say in the temple, even in our temple, some people, I don't want any salary. I don't want any salary. I am ready to do honorary service. No, you don't give me anything. But I want to do this deity worship only, deity service only. Please do not send me to market for fetching vegetables or other things. Please don't maybe, clean the toilet, this and that. He's attached to the work. Nishkama karmis. Okay. Then above that, jnanis. They don't want to get involved in any activities because they know by doing activities, they have to suffer the reactions. So they want to avoid. And on the contrary, they will study the Shastras. Okay. Swadhyaya, they will do. So they are jnanis. But still, they have attachment for the name and fame because they are scholars, they are philosophers, but for name and fame, they are attached. And further, when they again, progress in that ladder, yoga ladder. So I'm talking about the yoga ladder. First, uncivilized, uncultured people, then karmis or karmakandis who are regulated to some extent for sense gratification, then karma yogis, that is sakama karmis and nishkama karmis, okay, then jnanis who are into study of Vedic literature, swadhyaya, and after that, the yogis who is meditating in seclusion on the Paramatma, okay, and above that, okay, bhaktas. So this is how the yoga ladder. So of all this, when you reach the stage of bhakta only, will get liberated to the spiritual planets. Okay. So are we qualified to become bhaktas? Although we are not bhaktas, we are practicing bhaktas. And this is not, 1 year or 2 year, you were karmi for 1 year, 2 year, then you became nishkama karmi, then you become jnani, then you become yogi. This is not in one lifetime. Many lifetimes you have to go through this. It's not that 1 year you practice karma yoga, then nishkama karma yoga, then jnana yoga, then dhyana yoga every year. No. This process is taking many lifetimes to go through. Then only you will reach. So we are all practicing bhakti yoga. That means we are very fortunate. And who gave us this fortune? It is Srila Prabhupada. It is Srila Prabhupada who gave us this fortune. Without going through, in this lifetime, without going through karma, jnana, dhyana, straight away we are promoted to this bhakti yoga. Although we may not be perfect. We may not be perfect in bhakti yoga. But still, Srila Prabhupada gave us the access to bhakti yoga. He gave us the key to the spiritual world. And we can open the door of the spiritual world, provided we follow the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada. Such a wonderful opportunity who gets, isn't it? Otherwise, people are still trying to figure out who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Karmis doesn't know. Jnanis are always speculating. They don't know. Dhyana yogis, they don't know. who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes they think that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a product of Maya or Brahman. So they also don't know. But when they properly follow the Dhyana Marga, and when they get the audience of Supreme Person within the heart as Paramatma in the form of Vishnu, the thumb-sized form of Vishnu, and by his mercy, if that person, that yogi, Dhyana yogi, attains the knowledge that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has a form, and my duty to serve him, he will become a pure devotee and then get delivered. This is how the yoga ladder. So we're all very fortunate because of Srila Prabhupada that we are in the right path without having to go through different yoga system. We are straight away taken to the highest rung of the ladder, that is Bhakti Marg. And it is now, the ball is in our court that we practice this Bhakti Yoga very nicely so that we will attain what we are supposed to attain, the human form of life in this very life itself. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada and the predecessor Acharyas. Okay, without whose compassion, we won't be sitting and talking about Bhakti Yoga, isn't it? So we're all fortunate. We're all fortunate. Although Srimad Bhagavatam says that in the Kali Yuga, people are most unfortunate. Okay, Prayana Alpayusha Sabhya Kalau Asmin Yuge Janaha Manda Sumanda Manda Bhagya. In the age of Kali, people are, unfortunate. They don't have the good fortune. But as far as we are concerned, we are very, very fortunate because we are in the movement of Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON and Gaudiya Sampradaya, and we have to pray and with folded hands, thousands and thousands of folded hands, because we have got this fortune from Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. Now, here it says, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. So as I told you, slowly and gradually, we are, evolving from the lowest rung of the ladder to the topmost. Slowly and gradually, we have to detach ourselves from all this so-called material attachment and detach ourselves to attach to Supreme Lord. Okay, the process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence grows upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded. So from Brahmaloka, the whole universes are expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entities' activities. So the fruits in the tree represents the result of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. So these are the four religious principles, by which a living entity is living in this material world. So one has to complete this cycle. How? So we are all following the dharma, that is religion, for the sake of economic development, artha, and with that artha, we try to satisfy our senses, that is kama, and once we are fed up, once we are totally frustrated in this sense gratification, we try for liberation. But unfortunately, we don't get, satiated by our desires. It keeps increasing only. And we are never satisfied with our sense gratification. We are never satisfied. That's why we never try for liberation. Very seldom people will try for liberation. Most of us are, seeking or after sense gratification more and more. Just like when we have 10 rupees, I want 100 rupees. Some people will know, I have only 10 rupees. I wish I had 100 rupees. When I get 100 rupees, then I wish I had 1,000 rupees. When I get 1,000, lakh. So this keeps increasing, never satiated. The satisfaction is never there. We want more and more. And the more you get, the more you want. The more you get, the more unsatisfied you become. Isn't it? So, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the 4 religious activities that we do in this material world. Finally, we have to attain. But Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of the Vedic literature, tells us that beyond this Purushartha, there is something else. What is that? Panchama Purushartha. That's called Panchama Purushartha. What is that Panchama Purushartha? So first is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, which is the first one, which is offered by Srimad Bhagavatam. What is that?
To attain the pure love of the Godhead.
Yes, Prema. That is not offered by the Vedas. Vedas doesn't deal with Prema. Only Srimad Bhagavatam deals with Prema. That is the ultimate goal of human beings. So Vedas deal with only Purushartha. 4 Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Only Srimad Bhagavatam gives the Panchama Purushartha, Prema. Prema Pumartho Mahan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Prema Pumartho Mahan. That is Mahan. That is great. Prema. Srimad Bhagavatam, Pramanam Amalam. That is the Amala Purana. And what is highest, this thing? Prema. Prema Pumartho. So that is given by only Srimad Bhagavatam. Whereas Vedas gives only this 4. Okay. And Vedas deals with only the 3 gunas. Traigunya Vishaya Pumsat Distraigunya Bhavardhana. Which are the 3 gunas? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamoguna. So matters relating to 3 gunas only. So one has to transcend the 3 gunas to go to the pure mode of goodness, wherein you will be able to go back home, back to Godhead in the spiritual world. So now there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upward. But there is such a thing that tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. And on the bank of a river, we can find such a tree. Otherwise, we don't find such a tree which has its root upward and the branches down. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of the material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. So what we have to understand, Lord Krishna is making Arjuna to understand that this material world is a reflection of that spiritual world. Just like how a tree upside down. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. So this reflection is situated upon our desires to enjoy this material world. Desire is a cause of things being situated in the reflected material light. One who wants to get out of the material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study, then he can cut off his relation with it. So if you really want to come out of the entanglement of the fruits of this material tree, okay, material activities tree, we should know the structure of the tree. And we should try to cut down this tree. So we should know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relation with it. Unless and until we cut this knot of material attachment, we cannot free ourselves from this material world. So we should know the tree very thoroughly through analytical study. So this tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Isn't it? Exact replica, because it's a shadow, it's a reflection. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree, and from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the 3 gunas, then the 5 gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, the Shendriya, mind, etc. So here it says that, from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy. So impulsionists take Brahman to be the root cause of the tree, material tree. And from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the three gunas, then five gross elements, we know all these things. Pancha Mahabhuta, and then 10 senses, the Sendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. So in the Sankhya Yoga system of Kapila Dev, okay, which Kapila Dev teaches to Mother Devudi, all the 24 elements are, beautifully, elaborately given. So 24 elements. We know that we have discussed these 24 elements many times in the past classes. So if Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees, and the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. This material world is a perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality. So that which is there in the up, in up, that is spiritual. Exactly what is reflected down is material. And that which is there up is eternal, and that is reflected here down is temporary. The material reflection of the tree, reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. Why? Because that entangles us again and again, time and again in this material world. So we have to cut off. We have to cut off with jnana vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. So the sort of knowledge and renunciation we have to cut off. So that is a weapon. Knowledge and renunciation, jnana and vairagya. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off the attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. So that is the purpose of the Veda. It means it should help us to cut this tree of fruitive activities, then get to the spiritual world, to the real place, to the eternal place. So this is a beautiful sloka, which Krishna says, Urdhamula Matashakam. Nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada in his beautiful purport. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to understand, this type of tree, the entanglement, the connection, it's very difficult. So because Prabhupada has given an elaborate, clear explanation, to some extent we can relate and we can understand. Otherwise, it's not possible. What do we understand about such a tree? So it is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that he is explaining in a way that we can understand in a very simple language. So any questions or any comments? Nothing? Then we'll go to the next verse. Purushottam Prabhu, you have something to say? So we'll go to the next.
No, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Adaswardham prasadastasya shakha guna pravruddha vishaya pravalaha adasya mulani anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya. Okay. Mayuri Mataji, can you please recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
अधः च ऊर्ध्वं प्रसृता तस्य शाखा गुणा प्रवृद्धा विषय प्रवाला अधः च मूलानि अनुसन्तनानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके.
Vandana Mataji, translation please.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
The
Krishna.
branches of this tree extend downward and upward. nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the object of the senses. This tree also has root going down, and these are bound to the fruitive action of human society.
Very good. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward. Now the branches go up and down. No, even in the real tree also, sometimes it is going up, sometimes it is coming down, isn't it? So the branches of the tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. So how it is getting nourished? By the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamo gunas. The twigs are the objects of the senses. Which are the objects? Which are the senses? Can anyone say? Come here, can you tell me which are the senses?
Prabhuji,
Which are the
eyes,
senses?
Prabhuji, eyes, nose, tongue, and then the touch,
Here.
and then ear.
Yes. And which are the objects of the senses?
Smell. Okay, smell, touch, taste, sight, and ear, sound.
Sound. Okay. So the twigs are compared to the objects of the senses. The twigs of the tree. This tree also has roots going down. Okay. The tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. So it's just an comparison, an example given, okay, just to make us understand how we are getting entangled by doing the fruitive activities in this material world in three modes of material nature. So that is a comparison given here. Okay, so one should not literally think that there is a tree up in the sky and whose branches are down and roots are up. This is just an allegory or to give some examples for us to understand. Okay, so the description of the banyan tree is further explained here. Its branches spread in all directions. In the lower parts, there are variegated many manifestations of living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, cats, etc. In the lower parts. Okay, the branches, its branches spread in all directions. In the lower parts of the branches, variegated manifestation like living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, cats, etc. These are situated in the lower parts of the branches, whereas on the upper parts are higher forms of living entities, the demigods, Gandharvas, and many other higher species of life. So what it is explaining is the upper planetary system, the middle planetary system, and the lower planetary system. Okay. So lower parts, the human beings and other animals. The higher parts, demigods, Gandharvas, and other denizens. Okay. As a tree is nourished by water, so this tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature. So usually the tree gets nourishment by supplying water, but this particular tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature. Sometimes we find that a tract of land is barren for want of sufficient water, and sometimes a tract is very green. Similarly, where particular modes of material nature are proportionately greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. The twigs of the tree are considered to be the sense objects. By development of the different modes of nature, we develop different senses. Okay. By development of different modes of nature, we develop different senses, and by the senses, we enjoy different varieties of sense objects. The tips of the branches are the senses, the ears, nose, eye, etc., which are attached to the enjoyment of different sense objects. The twigs are sound, form, touch, and so on sense objects. The subsidiary roots are attachments and aversions, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. The tendencies toward piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots, which spread in all directions. The real root is from Brahmaloka, and the other roots are in the human planetary system. After one enjoys the results of virtuous activities in the upper planetary system, he comes down to this earth and renews his karma or fruitive activities for promotion. This planet of human beings is considered field of activities. So this planet is considered the field of activities where karma prevails. Okay. So once we accumulate so much pious credit, we get elevated to the higher planetary system, enjoy that, come back to this Matya Loka, okay, this Bhumi, again, complicate ourselves in doing many fruitive activities, gets credits, pious credit, go there, enjoy and come back. So this cycle keeps going, isn't it? Up and down business. According to our activities, sometimes we will go upward, sometimes we'll go downward. If you are doing abominable activities, we'll go downward. If you are doing good activities, we'll go upward. So this is just an allegory or an example given for us to understand how this karma, this attachment, this fruitive activities, works in the three modes of material nature. So it's a good example given here. So different things are the different items of the trees are compared to different different limbs of our body, the field of activities, and our entanglement in this earthly planet, our elevation to the higher planet system, then coming down. All these things are very nicely explained by giving the example of this banyan tree. Okay, so any questions or any comments? So everything is starting from Brahma Loka. Brahma is the secondary creator. His abode, the Brahma Loka, Satya Loka is on the top of this universe. So from there, everything starts. So that's what it said. This real root is from Brahma Loka.
प्रभु जी मीन्स वैतरणी नदी के बाद में जो है ना
No, this is within this material world. Vaitarani to
अच्छा ओके
ऊपर है. Not Vaitarani, Virija is ऊपर, Vaitarani is down.
विरजा को वैतरणी बोलते ना रोज.
Which is the other river, no? which we go towards the Naraka. That is Vaitarani, right? That is Vaitarani. Okay. When we go to the Naraka, that time we have to pass through Vaitarani. It's very, very horrible. A lot of crocodiles and whales and timingala, this and that. And people who have done sinful activities are made to bite by them, and stool and pus and urine and all these things are there. That is Vaitarani.
And Virija in upper.
Yeah, that's up. That is beyond this material universe.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay.
So
but this thing isn't only in the Martya Loka.
This is within the universe.
Within the universe.
Yeah, Brahma Loka is the top of this universe. But penetrating this, there are 7 layers. 7 layers, and each layer is 10 times thicker than the previous layer. Once you have to penetrate all these things, then only you can go up beyond that. Then by what you call Virija, Brahma Jyoti, Virija. I mean, after that you will find Kailash, where Sadashiva is then Brahma Jyoti, then what you call Virija, then you will find the Haridham, spiritual planets. Okay, if you see that Goloka chart, then we'll have a clarity. I'm just telling from my memory.
Prabhuji, please one day tell us about the Goloka chart.
We'll have to, but we need to personally present that, because in the Zoom, I don't know how possible it is.
No problem, Prabhuji. When you will be here,
when we come there, we'll do that one day.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
One day, Sir Palak Prabhuji explained to the children this Goloka chart.
Okay.
But I was in the middle, so I couldn't understand actually.
So Zoom,
but he explained in children's class.
You have to focus that. Approximately, we can say. Now, if you really want to know, there are series of lectures by one Prabhu, I forgot his name, from Australia. Very clearly, he gives description of this material universe. Ghanshyam Das.
Eh.
Ghanshyam Das Prabhu. Just listen to his lectures. Complete cosmic
Videos.
Vedic cosmology is about. So Vedic cosmology by Ghanshyam Das Prabhu. You'll
Okay,
find there are
Prabhuji.
five
Okay.
series of lectures
We attend the class.
in detail.
Huh?
Have you watched that?
Yes, Prabhu.
I had sent to you, I remember, long back.
Yes. We attend the class, Prabhuji. The 2 years before
Yeah, we
Ramadan
attended
month,
a
they have
class
the
also
Oh, in
from
COVID.
from Pune, one Prabhu, another Prabhu.
Pune, yes, yes, Prabhu.
In COVID, I think.
No, before that.
Before. Sure.
It's a vast subject, it's very difficult to understand also. Sometimes it'll go above the head, especially the fifth chapter, fifth canto, the creation part of it's very difficult to understand. But somehow some clue, some idea we'll have by listening to that. Too much technicalities, technical points. Anyway, it's worth listening to. We'll have some idea about the creation.
Hmm.
I'm reading the second canto, Prabhuji. Now this Mahatattva and all are coming there. It's again very difficult to understand.
Different places, different explanation. Sometimes we'll also get confused. But
The
anyway,
second canto, this Mahatattva and the 24
so
elements
many
are
things.
there.
There's so many technical points, so many, but still, some idea we'll get. But so different when you go and elaborate this thing, then very difficult. Mahatattva. Okay, let's continue 3 and 4. What's the time now? It's 10 o'clock. Oh, so time up. This takes more time.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's a long one.
So we can discuss for 5-10 minutes, then we can close it. So please note down 3 and 4. Okay,
Okay, Prabhuji.
3 and 4, 15, 3 and 4. Stop sharing. Hare Krishna.